Perfect. Well, so how are you?
I'm all right, but it's raining all day here
Okay.
in Jakarta, so like I mean, I always get wet,
Yeah.
and yeah. But I'm excited because tomorrow is our last day of work
Okay.
before Christmas holidays. So
Nice. Oh, yeah, that's always nice. Yeah,
yeah,
so what, I don't know if you have any questions or do you want me to explain a little bit more about the project before starting?
yes, please. Can you explain it to
Yeah,
me?
so basically, United Rising is a very young NGO. It's been running for around 2 years now, and Yasmin is its founder. And now I'm
Okay.
specifically collaborating in this environmental intersectionality project, which we also want to merge with a storytelling initiative. And they also have some other projects, but more focused on ecocide, and also like how to create awareness within like the youth, but more focused on universities. So the public of UR is more right now like students from Dutch universities, because we're based in the Netherlands, and Yasmin has a lot of connections with universities in the Netherlands. And our now the project in environmental intersectionality, we want well, we are starting with it, so we wanted to do this storytelling initiative, but of course it's a little bit complicated because of course of the distance and time zones and everything. So we're starting little by little, and first we are doing some research on indigenous communities, and that's why we are also contacting you and doing some articles about other indigenous activists. So the idea is like to create some awareness and also to bring some understanding of the struggles you face, but we are trying to do it from your own perspective, so we don't want to impose our thoughts or perspectives, because of course it's very difficult. So that's why we want to contact you and speak with you to be able to write these articles and share your own stories and your own perspective and the work you do from your perspective and your with your vision basically. So
Sounds like very interesting project for a very interesting target audience
yeah,
because most of our histories are written by the Dutch and
yeah.
are there in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're involved in this. So
Yeah, so basically today I wanted to start like asking you basically about your background, your origins, and for you to tell me a little bit more about yourself.
okay, so my name is Dorthea Wabiser. Um, I I'm from West Papua. My mother came from Yali tribe, and it's from the highland part of the island. If you see the map of West Papua, it's
Hmm.
like in the middle.
Okay.
And then my father came from Biak Island. It's an island on top of the like super small island on top of Jayapura. But I was born and raised in Jayapura, West Papua. Before, there were only two provinces, but now they have divided it into six provinces. So it's not only West Papua province and West Papua province, but to six different provinces.
Hmm.
So the name changing, but they are referring to my home place as Papua province. And right now, I currently work in an civil society organization called Yayasan Pusaka Bantala Rakyat. It's an organization who advocates for indigenous people's right and environment, especially for the communities who lives in southern part of West Papua. There are three regencies there. It's Merauke, Bovendigel, and Mapi. And then in the western part of the island, in Sorong and South Sorong. Sometimes here in Pusaka, because when the government want to divide it, West Papua into six region, we didn't we did we disagree with the policies, and because we work for indigenous people, we didn't want to like recognize the administrative line that creates by the government. So instead of saying that I work in South Papua province, we always referring to the southern part of the island.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I work here as a researcher, and I documenting indigenous people's knowledge, and also I try to see the resilience of the communities toward the climate crisis in West Papua. But here, because there are only 11 of us in Pusaka, the program staff, so I basically do everything like what my other friends did. So not only research, but also do the capacity building and also campaigning and also advocating. So yeah, that's what I do.
A little bit of everything, I guess.
Yes, a little bit of everything. Well,
And how did you come to work for this NGO?
yeah. So I came from an activist background. My parents, they are activists, but they work in different sectors. Like my mother, she works for women's right in West Papua as an activist, and if you've heard about the independence movement, my mother works a lot with to advocate for, for the human rights violations
Mhm.
in West Papua, in Jaipur especially, while my father, he is an activist that works in Timika. Timika is the place where the Freeport mining operates. So he helps to advocate the rights of community affected by the waste of Freeport in Timika, and he also worked from church. So I was growing up seeing these two peoples with their activities and pretty much inspired by them, because living under oppression in West Papua, you feel it like how they try to close your your voices when you want to say something. You see every day the human rights violation, you experience the racism, the discrimination. Even when I went from Jayapura to Bandung in Java for school, and I can still feel the discrimination and racism as a West Papuan, even in Java. So yeah, basically experience this oppression, the violations, hearing stories and everything inspired me to work in the same field. And I took international relations before as my undergrads, and I write my thesis about the conflict resolution in West Papua. And then after graduate, uh, I went for school in the States, but because um, there was political problems experienced by our government because of the divided of six
Mhm.
provinces. They cannot support my tuition anymore,
Oh.
so I couldn't continue my school, and I came back to Jakarta, to Jayapura, and trying to see if I still got the chance to finish it. But then I met few friends who work here in Pusaka,
Mhm.
and then they said that currently Pusaka is looking for someone who work that can live in Jakarta, because the office is based in Jakarta. Because we think it's important to have an office in Jakarta who focus on West Papua, so it's easy for us to connect with the central government when we want to do advocacy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I applied, and um, now I'm became one of the part of this organization.
Yeah, so I understand it comes more like from all your life seeing it, yeah, during while you were growing up, like, or was there any like specific event or moment where you said, okay, now I want, like, I'm sure I want to like dedicate my life to this.
Yeah, so before, when I was in uni, I always try to keep up with what happens in Papua. So my parents, they always talk about what the ongoing cases, the updated cases. And because I was still uni, one thing that I want to practice for my critical thinking is make like a youth videos. You can actually find it, but it's in Bahasa Indonesia. So I made a YouTube video where I analyze documentary movie from West Papua
Mm-hmm.
uh, that tells stories about what happened in different region. So uh, I updated with a lot of cases, and I was like, okay, I think I really want to do something like my parents, and I know that there are these problems. So when they reached me, the Pusaka reached me and said that we're looking for someone, and I look at their background because before I was following their social medias and I saw all of their works related with indigenous peoples, and I was like, oh wait, actually at the same time there is also a company, the gas company in Bintuni, who actually asked me if I need a job I could apply to them to work in their company. It's BP, the British Petroleum in Papua.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I think it's against my moral. So I decided to just go along and apply to work in Pusaka because it's suitable with what I believe, and the value that Pusaka has is same with mine and what I saw in my parents' work, but also the thing that I think is important for West Papua. So that's why I agreed to join Pusaka.
Yeah, I also feel that resonates more with your values and your family life, probably. But did they
Yes.
contact you through that YouTube video, or?
No, no, no. Actually, it's when I did the YouTube video, it's when I was in school, and so uh, there's one event Pusaka held before I joined the organization. They held an event about in Jayapura, and because they knew me that's always advocate through this video, they invited me to be one of the um, panel to share stories to the youth in Jayapura on how uh, how to use the social medias to advocacy or campaigning about the issues. And when I came to this event to share my story, they told me that Pusaka is actually looking for someone, so you can apply.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's very
that was
nice. Yeah, and yeah, you said you are living now in Jakarta. So, what is now your like relationship with your community?
okay. So the thing is, I said before that my mother from Yali and my father from Biak, they are in very different places
Okay.
where Pusaka work.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the southern part of the island, we work close with communities. The names of communities are Marin, Auyu, so very different from my tribe. Um, uh, uh, then even though I live in Jakarta because the office is based here, I'm not always here in the
Okay.
office like all of my friends because our field in West Papua. So at least once a month we always will be in Merauke in the southern part of in this western part. That's how we accompany the communities with whatever they need in field. And for example, um, right now there is an ongoing deforestation case. The government want to open the 2 million hectares for sugarcane plantation, sugar factory, and bioethanol project, and also new creation of rice fields. And it's in Merauke, it's in our field area, so I always go back and forth between Jakarta and Merauke uh, to preparing like capacity buildings to help the community in documenting the cases, investigating the cases, but also about the security, what should they do, or what kind of policies that Indonesian have that they could try to use. And we organize these communities uh, reconnecting, in help them reconnecting with the nature, because this capitalism cut the community's relationship with environment. So that's where we took our parts. And also, because the Indonesian government doesn't ratify ILO 169, and even though Indonesian signed the UNDRIP, um, they stated that in Indonesia, there is no indigenous people, or everyone is indigenous people. Therefore, if you want to secure and guard your forest and land, you have to get the recognition from the government. And Pusaka helped these communities to preparing the requirements that the government has, for example, the history, the mapping, and everything. And then we submit it to the government, and they will sign it, so that the status could change from indigenous people to indigenous people by law. So yeah, that's where Pusaka also play roles. We create together with the community. We create preparing this letter. So yeah, I don't have direct relationship with my own tribes, Yali and Biak, because I work more for the other tribes in the southern part and the western part. Because I think right now the biggest deforestation case is happening in the southern part.
Okay.
So yeah.
And but growing up,
Really, so West Papua is a very, very big
yeah, I can imagine.
island, and so all this time I was only in Jayapura or in Timika, where my father
Okay.
works and where our houses were. So the first time I went to the southern part, where started when I start work in Pusaka.
Okay.
That's where I getting to know the communities now, and now they are a big part of me, because I know more about their culture than my own tribes.
Yeah.
Because I always with them trying to learn their language, and because I'm documenting their traditional knowledge, I think I know their culture better than my own.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can imagine that with your background and your own yeah, coming also from indigenous communities, in your research you have like this perspective to be able to help them.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, I think it's also because of the transfer knowledge from my parents, from my grandmother, great grandfather, because every time we gather together in our home, the process of transfer knowledge always happened. My grandfather always tell things about our culture. So and I think because as Papuans, I had the emotional attach. I already has the emotional attachment to the West Papuan. It's like so when I enter new community, I just know that these are also my people, even though we are came from different background. And the community, they accept me, and it's not hard. They were taking care of me every time I went to the villages. I never have to like spend my money, because we have everything there, and they just like, it's okay, you're safe here. Uh, we're just going to protect you, so don't worry. So I always feel safe and happy every time I went there. It's my healing part
Yeah,
of
that's
journey.
beautiful to hear. Yeah, and coming back to your work, I also wanted to ask you if there's any project or anything in particular that you're very proud of having worked on, or very inspired by it, something that pops into your mind.
Well, so this is related with what I've mentioned about the recognition of indigenous people, because if we haven't got that recognition legally, then the government will state it that all of the Papua is an empty land. So that's the perspective of the central government. And what I really like about, so because of that perspective, in Papua right now there is one big campaign called West Papuan is not an empty land. And because we just want to show that when the central government stated that this is an empty island, then we will make this, or we will build this here, here, and here without asking the one who owns the land or the forest. So far, when we did research in the villages, uh, we we published a report that proves of this is not an empty land. For example, there is a report created by two of my other friends. They use the ethnobotany method to inventorying the what's inside the forest, and then they documenting the animals and the plants that are already in the forest, and then they write it in the original name, like the from the tribes, the Indonesian name, and also the Latin. And it's like one of the way to prove that what do you mean by saying this is an empty land, because in this land there is actually this. And then yeah, and something that I really proud is the movement of the people, the community, in defending their forest and land. For example, for the case that I mentioned about the sugarcane plantation, when the government decided that they want to open 2 million hectares in Merauke, most of the communities reminded by the previous project in 2010 called Merauke Integrated Food Energy Estate. At that time, the government opened millions of hectares uh, uh, for the rice fields. And when this project, they announced this project, the second, the sugarcane project, everyone got reminded of the first one. So when I was in the community together, we created like a movement in rejecting the this project. So when and I got the chance to investigate the situation and accompany the community last June. I went to Merauke and I saw how everyone's working together to reject it. We gathered together in certain places. We did demonstration in Merauke, but then we also did demonstration here in Jakarta. And for a symbolic action, some communities planting the red cross in their customary area to mark that this area is ours. And yeah, seeing that always makes me proud, because it shows that in defending this forest we do something. Because sometimes when people see West Papua, they always see things that we cannot do something about, like for example the human rights violations, like yeah. And I think I was in the room with few environmental defenders. They were talking about West Papua, and they were like, yeah, we work for this for so long, but this that situation still happen like this, like there is nothing we can do anymore. And seeing this whole process together, and I I actually get sad with what they said, because we actually do something. We want to save our forest and land, and this is what we do. Well, maybe something that missing is the international pressure, because we did something from the grassroots level, the local level, the national level, but then the story of this movement doesn't sound to the rest of the world. So uh, that is our limitation, and that's one thing that we want from the people from outside of Indonesia, to know that in terms of the project there are people who against it. So yeah, I think to be involving in this movement makes me very proud to be a part of West Papuan in defending our forests and land.
Yeah, because I also wanted to ask you what were like the biggest challenges, but I guess it's what you just say about like creating this awareness or more pressure from the international level.
Yeah, yeah, that too. But currently, so in terms of West Papua, the central government always use military approach, and for even for this sugarcane project, the one who accompany the companies to open the area guarding their concessions are military. So that is also one of the biggest challenge. And because they try to like uh, they doesn't want us to they want us to get intimidated by them. And the new president of Indonesia has background in military because he is the former Ministry of Defense, and he is also has history with human rights defender in '98, and he also involved in the military operation in West Papua. So I think right now the biggest challenge is or our strategy to survive for the next 5 years
Yeah.
as a human rights defender, especially in West Papua. So yes, but what I experienced, it's not as hard as what the community affected experience on the field and the grassroots, because the military come to their places directly to their home, their houses. So that's why even though there are these challenges, we keep moving forward, and yeah, just keep sounding the cases of what's happening in West Papua.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
I,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think so. So just super small,
no, sure.
short. And and I think when I say that this is an environmental problem, especially this sugarcane project that will open 2 million hectares, it's in Merauke. The total area of Merauke is 4 million hectares, and they will open two. So um, they will open like half of the regency. And because there is one article in one of Indonesian law that stated that the company can open their concession without giving the environmental impact analysis. Right now, we haven't get the official document from the company or the government where they will open these projects. So yeah, we just work like trying our best to reject, but also still cautious, because we didn't know that is are they going to like move all of this community to every, like, they didn't know about it. But 2 million hectares is a very big area, and if you talk about environment, West Papua is one of the third of the world's lands, alongside with Delta Congo and Amazon forest. So when we talk about West Papuan environmental forests, it's not only for the community that affected, but also for all of the West Papuan and everyone who live in Indonesia, and also everyone who lives in the world, because of the climate crisis. So saving these environments, not it's very important not only for the people but also for everyone in this crisis.
Yes, totally. At the end, we are all going to be affected by it one way or another. But yeah, I mean, hearing this and also about the like they involving also like the military, do you like sometimes feel like hopeless about like what you are wanting to achieve, or yeah, how do you cope with this? Because I can understand that sometimes it can feel like very overwhelming, like trying some things and maybe the government acting without even like warning you or the community. So yeah, how do you cope with these feelings?
To be honest, being a human rights defender, environmental human rights defender, is how I cope as a West Papuan. Because living, yeah, well, as I mentioned before, seeing these cases every day, seeing how oppressed we are, makes me want to do something. So I cope from that situation with being an environmental defender. So hopeless? No, actually no. I don't feel hopeless. Why? Because I got the privilege to to other things that most of the community affected doesn't get or other people get. What I mean by that is that the ability to learn other language, the ability to get access to these books to learn. There are different strategies. There are other friends that could help us. There are other mechanism that we could do. So I didn't feel hopeless because I always find, and thank God so far I got an access to find ways and strategies. So when one I feel stuck, I know that there are a lot of different ways, and there are a lot of friends who would help us um, in finding justice for these conflict and cases. For example, when I try, because here in Pusaka I also do the international campaign. um, every time what I think is, how do I tell to the world about this environmental situation in West Papua? But then I just like like knocking every door I have. I was like sending random messages to people in Instagram, and I was like, hey, can we collaborate in this and this and that? And and sometimes they didn't respond, but a lot of people respond. For example, um, I got the chance to go to Europe this year last September, and I went to the Netherlands. I went to do the movie screening of a tribe, from a documentary movie of a tribe that we accompany, and then I got the chance to meet different peoples, and then we built this relation and connection, and now they are like they're helping me in sounding these cases. And while I'm doing that with the friends in Netherlands, there are people in Australia who saw that, and they were like, we want to help you to sound this in Australia, let's do something. So um hopeless, no, because there always are strategies or ways that helps. Maybe not hope, but draining.
Yeah,
I guess if
I
instead
think
of
that's a better word.
hopeless, draining.
Yeah,
Yes, because I have the emotional attachment with the people and the land. Seeing the cases, seeing what they did to the environment makes me sad. Like I sometimes it's like, why are these cruel people? I mean, if they stop doing this, they could still be rich 7 generation. Why they still want to ruin our forest and land? So the drain and depressions comes from the thought of thinking all of this situation, especially when one of our friend died, for example. And there, because last year, one of the community leaders who we accompany to get the recognition of their customer area died. That is my first heartbreak.
yeah,
I was like, we haven't got our, I mean, we haven't achieved our goals. Why did you have to die? But he is so old. I mean, he's fighting for so long for his own life. As and when we did the litigation process, and then we lost on the court because of I don't know. They said that we lost because of we passed the deadline. So it's not about what's written in the document, but about the administrative things. Always frustrates and makes me depressed. So um, yeah, that's, I think that is the other thing that makes me sad,
yeah.
instead of hopeless, draining and depressed sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also like tied to that and like wanting to reach like more like an international community, I also wanted to ask you, what do you want people to feel or to get after reading like this like your story that I'm going to write about? What do you want to like get out there?
Okay, so we're writing we have this online petition.
What?
I was like, so we have online petition. Can you guys please sign it?
Yes, of course we can also do that. No, but of course we can also like with our Instagram account from United Rising, for example, we could also
Yeah.
like help you in this kind of yeah, projects or initiatives that you need some support and like to get out at least in the Netherlands. And for example, I come from Spain, but I studied in the
Mm.
Netherlands, so I also can like like I have like when I repost
Oh,
some
okay.
posts from that page, it also gets to like more like other communities in Europe, for example. So that of course we can we can definitely do.
Thank you so much. But not, now the serious answer. So uh, West Papua is not an empty land. So within that forest, there are arts, there are families, there are histories, and there are people who do whatever the readers do right now. For example, playing guitars or going to eat fish or something, or gather with the family. So, because it's not an empty land, and the indigenous community help to guard the forest better because um wait, I forget the English word um for berkelanjutan. Do you speak bahasa Indonesia?
I don't think so.
uh, Sustainable. So I mean,
Okay.
then suddenly I'm sorry. Oh, so suddenly it stopped. So yeah, I mean the indigenous community guard the forest better and sustainable. So it's very important to help them securing their own home. I mean, can you imagine your home? I mean, you're just sitting there chilling, and then somebody just came and destroyed everything. What I mean, how do you feel about it? And it's currently happening. So please, I wish to get solidarity and also support in signing the petition. But also, if you want to do other campaign, that would be very helpful. Sending letters to our government or to your government so that they could press our government
Mhm.
to be more respect the FPIC process or all of the process where you have to respect to respect the community's rights.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, sure. Like, I mean, I also wanted to tell you after hearing all this that when we finish, you can, or when you have time, you can also send me like the link to the petition or anything that you would like for that, or that anything that we can help you out with. We can, I can speak with Yasmin, and also we can see if this collaboration can like go further, and like we can find some other things where we can like collaborate about. That would be great. Yeah.
Oh, that would be very helpful
Yeah.
and awesome. See, I got another way.
Exactly. That's also why we are doing this, to like to create awareness also like in Europe and in the Netherlands, where maybe these perspectives are not so well known. Because for example, I studied law and sustainability here in the Netherlands, but I don't remember anything about like indigenous perspectives or what like this
Mm,
like intersectional approach. It was more like this academic and European way of seeing things. So yeah, that's also great to have these conversations and to get like your own words and perspective out there. So thank you very much for agreeing to do this call. And as I said, if there's anything else we can help you with, just like send, you have our email.
mhm.
So yeah, and I will also like I will write the article about this, and of course I will send it to you before publishing, and we can like if you want like something else to like be there or something like said differently, we can discuss it. So yeah, I don't know if you want to explain
Okay.
something else more that you want me to be aware of.
Well, I mentioned names and things. If
Yeah.
I mean, if you need more clarification of things, I just let me know, and I could write
Okay,
like the
perfect. Yeah.
networking.
Yeah, that was another one of my fears because, but I don't want it to interrupt you all the time. But yeah, my idea was to do some research listening to the call, and if I don't like find some things that you mentioned, I will definitely reach out to ask for some help.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I would be available to help with that.
Okay. Perfect. Then I will leave you alone to keep
Okay,
working on your thing.
I'm
But
going to Jayapura right now, so right after this. So yeah.
okay. Perfect. Then thank
Thank
you
you so
again
much.
very much. Yeah. Very nice to meet you.
Okay.
Bye.
Very nice to meet you too. Bye.